I'm sort of like reading through the comments, and right now like reading what Cosmos Night is saying like regarding her family and what she's been through. It's a lot. Like, how many of you right now in your daily life feel like, I don't know, like you're being attacked, like through people around you, relatives, people you admire or love? How many of you like feel alone or feel crushed or feel like there's like the third part or someone else who are just like waiting to trigger you, and like might be people close to you, like maybe your parents, maybe your siblings, maybe someone else, and you know, words, actions, and other things, and how many of them actually trigger you and make you feel bad, wrong, guilty, and all this stuff. Because it's definitely a thing. Like, it hasn't been happening to me that much lately. I guess like in a few ways where people would call it Murphy's Law. Like, just you're driving or like you're doing your thing, and a lot of people will get triggered by smallest things. And for me, like, I learned how to stop reacting to these triggers. Like, I know, like in the past, I would try to connect to my clients, and literally internet goes nuts, like stops working and all this stuff, where people like are trying to connect to me, and other things are happening, and you know, like I would get triggered by that, like or like pissed off and stuff, and I was just like, okay, it's not working, whatever. And sort of like, I don't know, like chill attitude about life is helping me, but to get to this state, it took me a while. And like right now, I think because I can handle certain situations and not get triggered by it, like, you know, people saying certain things or certain things happening that like used to trigger me, but I sort of like, I'm in control of how I react. And a lot of times, when people are not doing too good, they subconsciously end up targeting someone to get wanted response back. And a lot of times, like for example, one person might have been through life where people control him or her, and to the point where they suppress and insult and embarrass, and the person ends up being abandoned and targeted all the time. And after all that, the person comes to me with the ways they've been targeting him or her, and end up like saying things that would make me want to do exactly the same of what was done to them. And I'm like, hey, I know that the person is writing to me, and that might be a lot of nasty stuff, but I have to react with, I have to understand that they are in pain and they're here because they need help. No matter how bad, no matter how nasty it might sound, or even if the whole thing is directed at me, like, Akvile, you're this and that, it might be like, damn, ow. But at the same time, I have to sort of like become like a blank slate and be able to take it in, like, okay, I understand your problem, but people are sort of like unknowingly waiting for the same response they've been waiting like or getting their whole life, and to be in control and not give them that, and they're like, damn, I'm sorry, I don't know what was going on to me. So like, I've seen this time and time again where people have stuff happening to them, and when they come at me, they project everything that was going on onto them to me, and they want me to do the same that everyone else was doing. So like, I'm like, I know it might hurt for a few moments, but I'm like, stop, be attentive. It's not about me at all. It's about the person. How can I help you? And so for me, like, to be attentive and sort of like understand what's your problem, what are you going through and all this stuff, and then to do my best to help the person, I feel like catching these situations and dealing with it that way, for me, has sort of like become like, hey, it's easy. Like, I don't get targeted that much because like I'm aware of these attacks, and now it's like, yeah, whatever. So like, because of these things happening and me being in control, somewhat, or like to some extent, I have gotten to the place where I'm like really chill in life. I know like my cat loss was probably the biggest issue I've had in a while. It's probably because it's been a while since I've cried, it's been a while since I've been hurting and stuff, and that was sort of like, damn, like I literally had to experience a loss, which is why like listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, he literally gave me an example. Like I feel like, I don't know, like half a year ago, like on summer, I was like listening to him and stuff, and one of the things he mentioned was literally people worry or are anxious needlessly because like the way he is like he thinks, or like his mindset is that all those things that trigger you or like you're worrying about, like so like what other people are thinking and saying, is not needed. Because literally think about someone you love so much and think about their death and how crushed would you be if you lost them. And for me, because I have this thing, like I have like people I care about and I really like them being in my life, or like let's say my cat, I used to have him, because I sort of like started appreciating life, and I'm like, okay, like stuff might happen in my life, but how big is this related to this person or this being dying? And I'm like, not much. I literally would have to get in touch with what would it feel like if that person was dead. And I'm like, damn, that would hurt. And so like staying with the perspective of appreciating everything, and like how all these things that would try to trigger me is actually not a thing anymore. I'm like chill about life. So for me that became like much easier to handle things, and no matter what would come at me, I'm like, yeah, but it's not as bad as that would be. So like for me it was helping. And then like when I lost my cat, and I'm like, yep, I completely understand what Gary is saying, because everything else that was happening, like for example, the day my cat died, I had like 4 or 5 people writing to me, expecting sessions and everything else, and I'm like, I know part of me should feel like I need to get back to them, but I was like, not there. I was just my cat. I woke up and I was thinking about him until morning, until like I would like from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed. This was just my cat, no one else. And all the things that were happening in life, like I didn't give a fuck at all. So for me, that was actually like, oh, I know my priorities. Why worry about the smallest stuff when I am so focused on this thing I actually truly love? That's important. So like, I might get bitched out. I might get told other things. People like, hey, sorry, need a refund. I'm like, okay. Bye. You know, like just sort of like no hard feelings or anything. It's more like just like accepting and all this stuff. So like for me, like it became easier to handle certain situations and deal with things. So yeah, I think like that's sort of like different mindset. This is really helping me to sort of handle things. But it's easy for me to talk. Like I know like some people like right here, they have no one. They're completely alone, and no matter how hard, like you might be in love with someone, but you're not getting him back, and that's crushing. And you're like, without the person, you feel like there's no one there, and even then you don't have it there. So like I'm lucky because I have someone. I'm lucky because I know like there's someone I actually really care for and about, and they're there for me and all this stuff. But like not everyone's that lucky, so I can understand people going through it.